Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books and beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee, co-host Raina, co-host Raina. Snack of the day today is Little Bits of Love. Yum. These are chicken and sweet potato flavor. So we'll get some of those out for Raina, because I'm here to talk about some newly released and soon to be released autobiographies and memoirs that you may be interested in. Now, these come from the AARP magazine, so they will tend to be of the more, shall we say, classically famous people in our society. There are quite a few here, so I'm just going to go ahead and get to it. The first one is called Softly as I Leave You, Life with Elvis. It is by Priscilla Presley and Mary Jane Ross. And this was released on September 23rd. And the synopsis says, now 80. Priscilla Presley is 80. The actor, businesswoman, and former spouse of the late Elvis Presley, now he passed in the late 70s, recounts her decision to part ways with the king and the deep loneliness, troubled relationships, and eclectic career that followed. Now, for me, Elvis was one of those people who, during my lifetime, he just rose to a superstardom, I would say. Michael Jackson would be another example. They became larger than life in a lot of ways. And I don't even think that the general public is really capable of understanding, the enormous pressure that they live under, or that they just, maybe sometimes put on themselves even. So for all his incredible talent, when I think of Elvis or Michael Jackson, I can't help but think of the downside too. I mean, they were haunted to a point where, they didn't know a moment's peace, I would say. And so, that may be an interesting book from that standpoint. What of the people that they left behind? People who love them and maybe could no longer even live with them. So yeah, that's one I think I'll think about. That's a possibility. Next is Truly by Lionel Richie. It was released on September 30th. And the synopsis says, this legendary singer, 76, offers detail-rich reminiscences about his childhood struggles with ADHD and the rise of the Commodores. Lionel Richie, started out with the Commodores, leaving them in 1982. And actually, he enjoyed, I think, even greater success on his own. The Commodores were known for several hit songs, including Easy, Brick House, Three Times a Lady, and Night Shift. Their music blends funk, soul, and rhythm and blues, making them a significant part of the music scene in the late 1970s and early 80s. And yeah, you can't listen to music from that era without hearing the Commodores or Lionel Richie as a solo performer. Also, he talks about the origins of the song Easy and duetting with Diana Ross and more. Now, with Diana Ross, he did that song Endless Love, and it's a beautiful song. I would be interested in this book because that is, for sure, my young adult coming of age, music and time and history. So yeah, I would be interested in that one. Next is Last Rites, which is kind of an ironic title because it is by Ozzy Osbourne. It came out on October 7th, and here's the synopsis. Osbourne had no regrets before he died in July at age 76. He said, if it ends tomorrow, I can't complain. The heavy metal king wrote in his posthumously published memoir, which includes stories of his health struggles. He had Parkinson's and a neck injury, and reunion with Black Sabbath. Would he have changed anything about his life? And this is a quote. He said, F, no. Okay, well, that's a life well lived, right? Yeah, so, definitely not my first choice for music, but yeah, he was important to a lot of people, and he contributed greatly to the genre of heavy metal. So, yeah, good old Ozzy. Next, we have a book called Future Boy, and this is by Michael J. Fox and Nellie Fortenberry. She's a longtime partner of Michael's, both in writing several of his books and also a founding member of his Parkinson's Foundation. And this book was released on October 14th, and it says the 64-year-old actor and advocate for people with Parkinson's disease, with which he was diagnosed at age 29, focuses on the heady period in the mid-'80s when he juggled two roles, Alex P. Keaton of the sitcom Family Ties and Marty McFly in the film Back to the Future. Now, I would totally read that book, not only from the perspective of that being a fun era in my life, but also just because I truly admire Michael J. Fox. I think he's carried himself with so much grace and style in the face of what is a devastating illness, and to think of how much life he still had in him as a professional actor since he was diagnosed that, he didn't get to share with us. I mean, when you think of it that way, it's kind of heartbreaking, really. But he's still relevant and he still has something to say. And I read this book by him that I have, No Time Like the Future, and I found it very inspiring. He's actually written quite a few. So next is Heart Life Music, and that is by Kenny Chesney with Holly Gleason. This comes out on November 4th. And it says Chesney, 57, describes his evolution from a kid in Tennessee and college bluegrass band member to country music megastar and 2025 Country Music Hall of Fame inductee. Now, I'm not the biggest country music fan in the world, but Chesney also does that like Caribbean sounding music, and I really like that. He had a CD that I loved. It was called Be As You Are, Songs from an Old Blue Chair, and I would listen to that all the time. I loved it. I loved the music on it, and I made a playlist mixing it with some of Jimmy Buffett music, and yeah, that was my Key West playlist. So would I read his autobiography? Yeah, I think I would. I definitely wouldn't rule it out. So next is We Did Okay, Kid by Anthony Hopkins, also to be released on November 4th. And the synopsis says, knighted and esteemed, the British actor 87 dishes about growing up lonely with a critical father and grim boarding schools that deemed him slow and hopeless. Well, I guess he showed them, huh? Then he discovered Shakespeare and everything changed. Okay, so, I mean, another brilliant actor. He starred in some really great films, probably best known for playing the late, great Hannibal Lecter, if you will, from the Silence of the Lambs movies. And, this intrigues me a bit because I didn't know of his troubles as a young person. I mean, I had no idea. So, yeah, that's interesting. Next is a book called Star of the Show, My Life on Stage by Dolly Parton. And this will be out on November 11th. And it is the final book in Parton's photographic trilogy, following Song Teller, which is a book of lyrics, Behind the Seams, which is about fashion. And this one here now is a catalog of highlights from 7 decades of dazzling performances by the beloved singer who is 79. Anyone interested in theater, I think, would probably love that series of books. It's probably not really something that I would seek out myself, but I do love Dolly Parton. Just what an amazing and positive lady she is. She has a children's reading program that she started, and she just seems like the kindest and just most loving person on earth, really. She recently lost her husband, which is sad. But nothing seems to get her down for very long. So yeah, she's a treasure for sure, and she's done some great movies as well over the years. So now, last but certainly not least, is 100 Rules for Living to 100, an Optimist's Guide to a Happy Life by Dick Van Dyke. And this will be released on November 18th. And it says the Tony, Grammy, and Emmy award-winning entertainer whose 100th birthday is in December offers advice on creating joy and staying healthy, weaving in stories from his extraordinary career. Just, from the standpoint of the advice and wisdom of this man who, is well on his way to living to 100, I would definitely read this book. That's an incredible accomplishment. And every time I see him on TV, he's smiling and laughing. He has a really likable way about him. And I don't think I've ever heard really anything negative about him. And he made Mary Tyler Moore famous as well. So, there's a lot to like about him, I guess. So there are 8 wonderful memoirs or autobiographies that have just been released or should be soon. Maybe you heard something here that you like. Let me know in the comments what you think. And I want to say thank you for watching. Let's do one more snack for the road. And have a great day.